Our today's lecture is on male genital system. I am Dr. Arpita Nishal, Associate Professor in Pathology. I will be teaching you about male genital system. So learning objectives for today's session are, we will see the lesions of testes, that is cryptorchidism and testicular atrophy, and neoplasms of testes. Next, we will see lesions of prostate, in which we will see hyperplasia of prostate and neoplasm, that is cancer of prostate. And last, we will see cancer of penis. So in this way, we will cover all the aspects of male genital system. Before studying about pathology of male genital system, we will just revise the anatomy of male genital system. In anatomy, what you can see here is the scrotal sac. Now, this scrotal sac contains testes, it contains epididymis, and it contains part of spermatic cord. Now, we all know that sperms are produced by the seminiferous tubules in the testes. These sperms are then stored in the epididymis, which is the structure of male genital system where they are matured and stored. Then from epididymis, the sperms are carried by the tube which is known as vas deferens, and this tube carries sperm from epididymis to the urethra. Prostate gland is the organ in male genital system, which is a large gland which secretes semen directly into the urethra. Urethra is the tube by which urine and semen are released from the body. Penis is the external male genital organ that connects the urethra to the outside of the body. Spermatogenesis is the process by which sperms are produced by the germ cells in the testes. So this is about the anatomy of male genital system or male reproductive system. Okay. Now the lesions of testes, they are of two types. There may be congenital lesions, that is present since birth, and the neoplastic lesions, that is the benign, the malignant, the tumors of testes. In congenital lesions, the first lesion that we will see is cryptorchidism. So what does cryptorchidism mean? It means undescended testes. That is, failure of testes to descend to its normal place. And we all know that testes are not always in scrotum at birth. So what happens is they descend into the place in the mature male, and whenever these testes do not descend to their normal place, they are called as undescended testes. This undescended testes may get stuck anywhere in the pathway of their descent. They may be stuck in the abdomen with the kidneys, then they may migrate to scrotum, they may get stuck in the inguinal canal and so on. But they are not present in their normal place in the scrotum. Incidence of cryptorchidism, it is about 0.2% of males, right more than left, and in 25% cases it is bi. What is the etiopathogenesis? Why does this occur? Exact etiology is not known. However, few theories are there that it is due to hormonal abnormalities. That is, there is deficient or androgenic secretions. Or there may be mechanical problems. Spermatic cord is short, so it is not letting the testes go down into the scrotum. Narrow inguinal canal, there may be adhesions to the peritoneum. Or it may be present due to the genetic factors. In trisomy 13, we see cryptorchidism, maldevelopment of scrotum, and so on. What are the changes we see in undescended testes? So if we examine the undescended testes, grossly it is small in size, firm and fibrotic. Microscopically, changes begin by about 2 years of age. If we see on examination the seminiferous tubules, we can see that the tubules are lined by only spermatogonia and spermatids, but spermatogenesis is not seen. We will see this in this. So grossly what you can see is this is the normal testes and this is the atrophic testes. You can see it is small, firm, fibrotic in nature. Microscopically on the left side you can see the seminiferous tubule in the of a normal testes. See what you can see is spermatocyte, starting from spermatogonia, spermatocyte, then spermatid. So this is the normal, whereas this is the seminiferous tubule in undescended testes. So you can see that it is lined, the seminiferous tubule, there are loss of germ cells and they are lined only by spermatogonia and spermatids, but spermatogenesis is not seen. The tubular basement membrane is thickened and some even advanced cases may show hyalinization. In interstitium you will see hyperplasia of Leydig cell. So what happens to an undescended testes? If we see the course of undescended testes, when it is unilateral, you may see atrophy in contralateral testes. Then if the repair or correction, which is also called as orchiopexy, matlab putting the testes in its right place, if orchiopexy is not done till 2 years of age, then it may lead to sterility. Then you cannot prevent the atrophy and sterility. There are increased chances of malignancy in undescended testes, around 4 to 10 times more. And if correction is done or orchiopexy is done, that may prevent atrophy, but it still does not decrease the risk of malignancy. Now this was one cause of testicular atrophy, that is testicular atrophy due to undescended testes. There are other causes of testicular atrophy also. They can be testicular causes and non-testicular causes. So in non-testicular causes, it may be due to chronic ischemia, inflammation, trauma, hypopituitarism, if there is excess estrogen or female sex hormone, which may be either for therapy or in cirrhosis, malnutrition, irradiation, chemotherapy. And there are testicular causes also, that is there is total absence of testes or any mumps or orchitis and so on. Next we come to testicular neoplasms. Most important cause of painless enlargement of testes in 15 to 34 years of age group. Most of the tumors are malignant and associated with cryptorchidism and testicular dysgenesis. 95% arise from germ cells, rarely from Sertoli cell. Classification, so mainly it is the germ cells which you can see, germ cell tumors. They are seminoma, seminomatous tumor. In non-seminomatous, we have embryonal carcinoma, yolk sac tumor, choriocarcinoma and teratoma. Or there are mixed germ cell tumor. So these are of one histologic pattern, and as I said, mixed germ cell tumor, that is combination of these tumors can occur. Tumor markers, some of these testicular tumors, they produce some markers which are measured in the blood. So by this we can diagnose these tumors. So beta HCG is one such marker. Alpha fetoprotein is another marker. So first tumor is the seminoma. Most common type occurs in young men. It is treatable. It arises from germ cells. Many histologic patterns are. Microscopically, if we see, you can see sheets of large cells which have clear, well-defined cytoplasm and round nuclei. This cytoplasm that you see, it has glycogen which is Pas positive. This is separated by fibrosis which contains lymphocytes. Next tumor is embryonal carcinoma, which is an aggressive tumor, occurs in 20 to 30 years of age, gray white tumor with areas of hemorrhage and necrosis. Microscopically, there are multiple patterns which can be seen: glandular, papillary, solid, tubular, and these patterns, in these patterns, what you will see is large anaplastic cells with prominent nucleoli. So these are very aggressive tumors and they metastasize widely. Next is choriocarcinoma, which is a tumor of placental elements. That is, you see combination of syncytiotrophoblast and cytotrophoblast. So both type of cells, there is an admixture of both type of cells. These tumors, they may be small, but they are highly aggressive and they spread very rapidly. We may see marker, that is beta HCG, raised in blood, by which diagnosis can be. This is a teratoma. Grossly, it is a large gray-white tumor but may show variegated appearance. Variegated means cyst hoga, solid hoga, bluish looking, mucinous looking, myxoid material, and so on. These teratomas are derived from three germ cell layers: ectoderm, endoderm, and mesoderm. These tumors are common in infants and children, and there are three types of teratoma: mature teratoma, immature teratoma, and teratoma with malignant transformation. What we see microscopically is mixture of elements from ectoderm. So you will see glandular, epithelium, you will see cartilage, you will see muscle. Every type that derived from ecto, endo, mesoderm elements may be seen. Markers may be present or absent. Clinical course of testicular tumors, usually they present with painless enlargement of testes, may present with metastasis. In non-seminomatous, more common is lymph node, liver, and lung. Seminomas, generally they metastasize to regional lymph nodes. Tumor markers are helpful: beta HCG, AFP, which is increased in yolk sac. So these tumor markers are helpful. Treatment success depends on histology and stage. Seminomas are very sensitive to both therapy and to chemo. Next, we come to diseases of the prostate. There are two types of lesions we will see. One is nodular hyperplasia of prostate, which is benign, and there is cancer. If we see structure of prostate, this is the prostate. This from center urethra is passing. This area is called as periurethral zone, and this area is called as peripheral zone. So generally, the benign nodular hyperplasia arises in the central zone and carcinoma arises in the peripheral zone. So benign nodular hyperplasia compresses the urethra, and so urinary symptoms are very common early in disease, so helpful for diagnosis. Carcinomas, they are periphery located, so they are diagnosed late. Nodular hyperplasia, other terms which are benign prostatic hypertrophy, benign prostatic hyperplasia. It occurs in 20% of men over 40 years and 90% of men over 70 years. Microscopically, it is hyperplasia or proliferation of both epithelial and stromal elements. And if we see pathogenesis, both androgens and estrogens may play a role. That is how this we can say it is not seen in males who are castrated before puberty. Then in which inhibitors of testosterone metabolism are useful in treatment of nodular hyperplasia, and relative increase in estrogen in older men may increase the DHT receptors in prostate. So benign prostatic hyperplasia, very common lesion. It is mediated by androgens. There is a arises in the central zone where there is proliferation of both stroma and glands. It has a minimal, if any, cancer. Microscopically, if we see grossly, if we see it, there is a nodular growth pattern. Microscopically, we see proliferation of glands and stroma and some chronic inflammation in between. The glands, if you see these glands, they have a double layer. columnar layer, and there are 2 layers in these glands. Clinical course of nodular hyperplasia. Symptoms occur only in 10% of men with nodular hyperplasia. And what are these symptoms? They are hesitancy, that is, there is difficulty, hesitancy in passing urine. Then there is urinary retention. The urine is not passed, it occurs, dribbling of urine occurs, it stops while passing. There is urgency, there is frequency, there is night, maybe patient has to get up to pass urine, that is nocturia. Treatment can be both medical treatment and surgical treatment. Common cause for elevated prostate specific antigen is benign prostate hyperplasia. So PSA is very helpful. Next we come to carcinoma of prostate. It is the most common visceral cancer, 20% are lethal. Second most common cause of cancer death in men. Peak incidence is in age is 65 to 75 years. Even latent carcinoma, you cannot, very late diagnosis can be also found. So it is more than 80 years may, more than 50% of men may have. Pathogenesis, again hormonal factors, androgens, genetic factors, environmental factors. So these are all factors which are related to CA prostate. How do we diagnose carcinoma of prostate? Often they are clinically silent. Patient does not have any symptoms, only difficulty in passing urine or nocturia and all. So first digital rectal examination is done, in which palpable prostate is palpable. Tumor markers such as PSA and PAP, then transrectal ultrasound may be done, needle biopsy is done. So these are how the tumor carcinoma prostate is diagnosed. It can metastasize, and osteoblastic metastasis. Treatment is surgery, radiation, hormones. So this occurs in the peripheral zone. PSA levels are high, maybe family. Microscopically, it is an adenocarcinoma. Here there is single layer of glandular epithelium. They are malignant cells. They metastasize to lymph node and bone. Treatment, as I said, may be surgery or hormone. This is again gland prostatic cancer. It is involving the nerve also. It can metastasize to bone. You can see here spinal metastasis. These are painful and may cause bone destruction. Staging is done by TNM classification, T for tumor, M for metastasis, and N for node. Last we come to neoplasms of the penis. Most common neoplasm in penis is the squamous cell carcinoma. So it is epidemiology, if we see, it is uncommon, less than 1% of CA in US men. Uncircumcised men between 40 and 70 years it is generally seen. Pathogenesis, poor hygiene, human papilloma virus 16 and 18. First there is carcinoma in situ, then it progresses to invasive squamous cell. So this is a this is a penis showing nodular outgrowth of squamous cell carcinoma. Microscopically, this side is normal. On this side, you can see the squamous cell carcinoma invading from the epithelium into the dermis and the subepithelium. This is high power view showing squamous cell carcinoma. Keratin pearls are seen, malignant cells. These keratin pearls are invading into the beneath the epithelium. So that completes our male genital system. Thank you and have a nice day.